Good afternoon, I'm Marisa Vedra, coming to you with another update on some breaking news that we are following out of Cicero, just across the border from Little Village. You are looking at a live picture from CBS Skywatch of what is left at the scene of what was an interaction early this afternoon, just around noon, with Customs and Border Patrol and a group of people that were gathered at this intersection.
The city of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, just released a budget that contains at least two major new taxes on big corporations, head taxes.
I am absolutely foursquare opposed to a head tax for the city of Chicago.
The illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, is going to say Chicago is great as it is. Look how great it is. Yeah, it's great, so leave it alone, fool. And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know that it helps us out a ton. And, of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, today, I guess it's another day. It's another story out of Chicago, the Chicagoland area, where your boy, the illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor of Chicago, there he is. Hey, he's on your screen. Look at that illustrious guy there. Look at that sub 10% approval rating guy. Brandon Johnson is his name, and being illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor is his game. So, y'all, there's pretty much in Chicago right now, they have two simultaneous problems. I mean, they have lots of problems, but they have two problems that we're going to talk about today, and they're deeply intertwined. On the one hand, they have a confrontation between the federal authorities and the people who want to protect those who are in the country without permission. OK, Chicago took in tens of thousands, who knows how many people, tens of thousands of people who are in the country without permission, spent hundreds of millions of dollars on them, blew a hole in their budget, and now they don't have enough money to support the services for the actual citizens and the true legal residents of Chicago. Okay, so they're $1.1 billion in the hole. So just today, y'all, we're seeing another instance of what has been happening for the last several weeks now, going on months, which is ICE and the federal authorities are in Chicago doing their thing, enforcing the law, the thing that binds the country together, the law. They're out there enforcing the law, and now people are confronting them. They are finding them. They are publishing where they are. They're blowing whistles. They're confronting them. They're running their cars into them. They're doing all kinds of things to prevent and hamper the federal immigration and just general federal law enforcement activity. So we're going to take a look at one of the most recent examples of this today, where all of these people descend upon a federal enforcement area and cause, can we use the word chaos? We need a better word, but for now we'll call it mayhem. They cause mayhem. And then after we take a look at that, y'all, we're going to see how your boy, Brandon Johnson, with his illustrious sub 10% approval rating self, even the governor of the state of Illinois is coming out against Brandon Johnson's latest budget proposal. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes his most recent budget proposal. Even the governor's like, yo, you got to go back to the drawing board, B. Okay, so we're going to take a look at that as well. So without further ado, y'all, let's go ahead and jump into it. But before we do, y'all, we have a new webpage for my people out there who are like, yo, I have money, but I don't want to give it away to the people who are trying to take it. How can I protect my retirement? Y'all, gold. How many times do I have to tell you? Gold has been man's longest monetary best friend for 5,000 years. I mean, what else are you looking for? Go to our webpage. Go to the new webpage, Paralegold. PARALEGOLD.com. Get the information on how to protect your retirement. And you can call 844-651-8334 and speak to our partners at Augusta Precious Metals. Now let's go ahead and hop into this content.
Good afternoon, I'm Marisa Vedra, coming to you with another update on some breaking news that we are following out of Cicero, just across the border from Little Village. You are looking at a live picture from CBS Skywatch of what is left at the scene of what was an interaction early this afternoon, just around noon, with Customs and Border Patrol and a group of people that were gathered at this intersection. It is 26th and Ogden, right near a large parking lot with a Sam's Club. There's a Home Depot there, and it is a busy scene. There was also a crash at that intersection, so a lot happening at one time. We also know that the head of Customs and Border Patrol, Gregory Bravino, was at this scene as well. Helping us sort through all of it is our Victor Jacobo. He's on scene for us. Victor, what have you learned?
Yeah, Marie, this is a very chaotic From my vantage point, when I was over at 31st and Sacramento for a press conference with groups from Little Village and Pilsen talking about how ICE was using some city property to kind of deploy some of their agents. Before that press conference even got started, officials were starting to get phone calls of ICE presence and Customs and Border Patrol presence on 26th Street near the Little Village Arch. That's where I followed them. All crews that were covering that press conference followed them. Eventually, that 2 mile from really Little Village Arch all the way over here, there were multiple incidents, and I kind of want to show you kind of like where we're at exactly here near 26th and Ogden. The scene has cleared now. Cicero police were on scene. They have since towed a car where that collision occurred between a civilian vehicle and we believe a vehicle from federal authorities. They have since taken that. There are some folks still here in the aftermath, some witnesses, some rapid response groups, some local officials who have gathered here. But this is really, been a very long 90 or so minutes. And through that course, I was able to stop just simply walking at a meat shop where one of the owners there, he said one of his people was detained by ICE agents. And then there was another crash near the Cermak Fresh Market there. And so this is kind of where it all led to here near 26th and Ogden. But again, from here to about the Little Arch is about 2 or so miles, and it was kind of a surreal scene where we're coming down here and people are blowing those whistles. We reported about how community groups and rapid response groups have used different ways to communicate the presence of federal officials, and so all the way down that street you heard people blowing their whistles, telling people to close their doors along that way, and so it all kind of culminated here. That scene has since left, but as you mentioned, witnesses say that CVP Commander Gregory Bovino was among those federal agents who was here. But right now it's clear, some folks still here, but just a lot of chaos over these last 90 or so minutes.
So without a doubt, y'all, we're going to continue to see these people confronting ICE and confronting the federal government. That is until they get a freer hand to handle these people, you hear that, lady? So until they get a freer hand to handle these people, y'all, there's going to be these type of confrontations. And the interesting thing about it is that depending on what judge you get, when the ICE tactics go to court, you may get a freer hand or a less free hand. So that doesn't help. And in the midst of it all, your boy, he has blown, like I said, a $1.1 billion hole in his city's budget. That's after giving $800 million to people who are in the country without permission. And now the governor's coming out against his proposal he wants to charge businesses to bring employment to his city, y'all. Think about this. You have a business. You're like, oh man, Chicago, despite them having an illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor, he'll be gone soon. Let's think about going to Chicago. But one of the things he wants to leave as his legacy is, oh yeah, you want to come to Chicago? Well, you're going to have to pay us every month for every employee that you have, y'all. Check this out. Even the governor's like, no, this is crazy.
These are companies with more than 100 employees. I did see a quote from the president of the Chamber of Commerce saying this could be a job-crushing measure. Do you worry that putting a head tax on these larger companies will either drive businesses away from Chicago or discourage businesses who are potentially considering Chicago as a location from coming here? Now,
y'all, let me pause this right here because I want to preview how some people just don't reason properly. So the interviewer is saying, hey, are you afraid that charging businesses to hire more people or charging businesses to move their business here for every employee, you want to charge them $21 per month per employee? Are you afraid that businesses might just say, hey, this is the only place in the whole country where they're charging us like that? We don't have to go there. So if you are an intelligent person, you would be looking into the future to see how your policies may affect in the future, because these policies are not yet enacted. But see, if you're illustrious in sub 10% approval rating, like Brandon Johnson, you're going to look backward and say, hey, this is how great Chicago is under the current situation. So the interviewer is not asking you, how great is it now? The interviewer is asking you, how will it be in the future? So this is a sleight of hand where the illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, is going to say Chicago is great as it is. Look how great it is. Yeah, it's great. So leave it alone, fool.
Well, look, we have been voted the best big city by Condé Nast for 9 years in a row. It's the top relocator, the Chicagoland area for large corporations, right? We've had one of the busiest summers downtown with our hotels generating more than $900 million. Our airports are busier than they've ever been. This is the most diverse economy in the entire country, right? And so again, we're talking about 3% of large corporations who just received a tax benefit from Donald Trump. So I think when it comes to the #1 issue in Chicago, which is to keep us safe, these investments in our police officers, these investments in survivors of domestic violence, our investment in young people, which is important to me, and of course our investments in violence prevention, our CVI workers, that's a worthwhile investment to continue to drive violence down in the city of Chicago.
All right.
And that corporate head tax will break down to around $20 per worker per company, only on organizations with over 100 people. The mayor says 97% of the businesses in the city will be exempt, but it's already getting some high-profile pushback from members of his own party, including Governor JB Pritzker, speaking today at the Economic Club of Chicago.
I am absolutely foursquare opposed to a head tax for the city of Chicago. It penalizes the very thing that we want, which is we want more employment in the city of Chicago. And it makes it very hard to attract companies from outside of Chicago to come into Chicago and harder for companies that are in Chicago to stay.
Of course, on this one, the governor is 100% correct. So, I agree with the governor on this one, y'all. This is what happens when you vote for an illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor, y'all. Y'all think he's going to win? You think he's going to win again? I'm going to play more of the governor's comments at the end of this video because I think it's important, y'all. Nothing is free, people. Nothing is free. You have to pay for everything. Of course, there's no business in this whole world that's going to say, let's go to Chicago because they're going to charge us more money than we can pay elsewhere. That doesn't make sense. So y'all let me know what you think is the future of Chicago. I think personally, as long as you have this illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor, things are dicey, y'all. Things are dicey. But let me know what you think down in the comments, y'all. But before you do, please stop, hit the share button, share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all of your favorite social mediums. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. To my people in retirement, do you see what illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayors want to do with your money? Don't you want to protect your retirement from the upsies, downsies, the roundsies, and the roundsies? Go down below, click the link, Paralegold, PARALEGOLD.com. It's the first link in the description. Learn how to protect your money from these people, y'all, and reach out to our partners at Augusta Precious Metals at 844-651-8334. Thank y'all for watching. Love y'all. We'll see you back in the next one.
Let's move on to some state and local issues, if we may.
Okay. I was hoping we'd get there.
One of your signatures has been attracting new businesses to Illinois, corporate headquarters, that kind of thing. The city of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, just released a budget that contains at least two major new taxes on big corporations. Head taxes, albeit by another name, and cloud computing taxes. That would appear to make your job of attracting new businesses to the city of Chicago harder. Should city council reject those new taxes on big corporations?
I don't want to talk about the cloud tax because I don't know enough about what the details are. I am absolutely foursquare opposed to a head tax for the city of Chicago. It penalizes the very thing that we want, which is we want more employment in the city of Chicago. And it makes it very hard to attract companies from outside of Chicago to come into Chicago and harder for companies that are in Chicago to stay. And we're a state that had a bad reputation. And when I came into office, and I've spent 6.5 years trying to turn that reputation around, balance our budgets, attract businesses, create incentives for businesses, cut taxes, do everything that I could possibly do to attract new businesses and to keep businesses here, not just here, but growing here, expanding here. When they decide they want to do something new, I want them to do that here and not say, well, yeah, we've got our facility here, but the next facility we're going to build somewhere else. So that's, I think, all of our jobs in government, right? We need more jobs, And FYI, you're talking. This is in the context of trying to balance a budget. There are three things and knobs you can turn, let's say, to balance a budget. Right? One of them is you can cut expenditures. Another one is you can raise taxes, raise revenues that way. And the third one, and this is the one I prefer, is grow the economy, because your revenues increase if you grow the economy, right? And it helps you pay for the things that you think really matter. And so those are all three knobs that can be turned, but the economic growth one is the best for everybody. And so I think we ought to be focused on that most of all. But you got to balance the budget, there's no doubt about it. I prefer growing the economy to the other two methods. I think efficiencies are hugely important, by the way. It's not to suggest that cutting expenditures is always a bad idea. Indeed, I hate to tell you, what Donald Trump has done to all of the states now is forced us, because he's foisted upon us new expenditures that used to belong to the federal government. Now the states are going to have to pay for a lot of that. And that's, for the state of Illinois, that's going to turn into several $1 billion that they are foisting upon us as things like SNAP and Medicaid. They're going to cost us more as a result of what he's done. So we're going to have to make, serious changes to the way we do things. And I just want to say, balancing the budget for the state of Illinois, for the city of Chicago, vital, can't be ignored, has to be done, shouldn't be done with a head tax in the city of Chicago.
The